A Day in Orloniox, A Trip to the Elder Arch Mage by Ryan Baker. The date, the year's 1996. The location is the mainland of the Empire. It is just after 1 in the afternoon. A person is walking along the coast, looking for someone to help her get across the water to get to the island of the Elder Arch Mage. Just then, she sees a boat. Next to it is a person with a cloak. She then walks up to the person. "Pardon me," said the person, "but could you help me? I am trying to get to the island of the Elder Arch Mage." "Oh," said the person, "I shall help you." "Thank you," said the person. "If you don't mind, what is your name?" "My name is Alterax," said Alterax. As he was speaking, Alterax had raised his hand to shake her hand. "My name is Allison Jackson," said Allison. "May I ask something?" said Alterax. "What is the nature of this trip?" "My husband, Adam, is on the island," said Allison. "I'm going there to meet him." "I shall help you," said Alterax. "Climb aboard the ship." That was where Alterax and Allison had climbed on board the boat. Allison said, "Alterax, you probably hadn't heard of me before, but I have seen many things, and have heard of many tales." "What sort of tales?" asked Allison. "There was a tale of the vampire who had gone out on Halloween," said Alterax. "There was also the tale of how the winged vampire had been on Earth." "What other tales?" asked Allison. "What sort of places have you been to?" "Well," said Alterax, "there was the time I had a temporary role on a show. It was called Tales of the World." "Oh," said Allison, "I think I've seen that one." "Anyway," said Alterax, "there was this tale that I think you would find interesting." "What is it called?" asked Allison. "It is called The Creatures in the Attic," said Alterax. Story 1. The Creature in the Attic. It was a Thursday afternoon when the 4 high school friends were in the last class of the afternoon. The location of the high school is in the town of Wolfburg, in the dimension of Sector 7. The class in question is history. The 4 friends are Bart McGregor, 17, Julie Simpson, 16, Thomas Briggs, 16, and Gabrielle Jackson, 17. The 4 students were sitting in the middle right section of this group of desks. "Hey, Julie," said Thomas. "Bart, Gabrielle, and I are going to the old house south of here. Do you want to come?" "Of course," said Julie. All the while, the history teacher, Mrs. Marge Johnson, was giving a lecture on the history of the town. Soon enough, it was a couple of minutes before the end of the class. "Before you students go, tonight's assignment is questions 5 to 10 on page 17, said Mrs. Johnson. At that moment later, the class bell had rung. The students had left for the day. "Guys," said Thomas, "we'll meet later in front of the house at 6:15 p.m. Is that understood?" "Of course," said the other 3 students. That was where the 4 friends had gone to their homes. Their homes are on the same street. Soon enough, after they completed the homework, they had dinner with the parents. Each of the 4 friends had told the parents about their plans. Although they had encountered some disapproval to the legends of the monster in the house, the 4 friends had arrived at the house. "By the time you guys got here," said Bart. "Let's just get this over with," said Gabrielle. That was where the 4 friends had entered the house. Little did they know that the legend of the creature is true. The creature had been living in the attic for years. "Finally," the creature said to itself. Now humans. Meanwhile, the 4 had entered the foyer section of the house. "This should be interesting," said Julie. "You got that right," said Thomas. Thomas was trying to come on to Julie. "Do you mind?" said Julie. All the while, the 4 were moving through the house. Just then, Bart had heard some organ music coming from the next room. "Hey guys," said Bart, "I hear some organ music from the parlor." "Let's go there," said Gabrielle. That was where the 4 had entered the parlor. Once they got there, they found the source of the music. It turns out that the skeleton was playing the piano. All of a sudden, the skeleton turned around to face the 4 teens. "What are you here for?" asked the skeleton. "We're here about the creature," said Thomas. "If you want to find the creature," said the skeleton, "bring me the pipe cleaner for the organ." "Where is it?" asked Bart. "It's out in the shed," said the skeleton. "I'll get it," said Gabrielle. "Be careful," said the skeleton. The ghouls tend to come around here looking for fresh corpses." "If you say so," said Gabrielle. That was where Gabrielle headed towards the shed. Little did they know that the ghouls are nearby. "I sure hope the ghouls aren't here," said Gabrielle. Gabrielle was moving down the hallway to the shed. Soon enough, Gabrielle had made it to the backyard. All of a sudden, Gabrielle had seen the ghouls. "My God," said Gabrielle. She then made a run for the shed. Fortunately, none of the ghouls had seen her. Gabrielle had made it to the shed. The shed was falling apart. She sees that the door is partially open. "The ghouls must be using tools from inside," said Gabrielle. She opens the door and walks inside. She sees the pipe cleaners on the shelf. She also sees the battered hockey mask on the bench. These must be what the skeleton wanted, said Gabrielle. She picks up the pipe cleaners and starts for the house. All of a sudden, one of the ghouls had seen her. "Oh, great," said Gabrielle. "They see me." Gabriella makes a run for the door leading to the house, but with one of the ghouls following her. Gabrielle manages to make it inside and lock the door behind her. "Phew," said Gabrielle. "That was close." Just then Bart comes in. "Hey, Gabrielle," said Bart. "Are you alright?" "Of course," said Gabrielle. "Let's get these pipe cleaners to the skeleton." "Of course," said Bart. "Sure," said Gabrielle. That was why Gabrielle and Bart went to the parlor. "Here's the pipe cleaner," said Gabrielle. "And where's the creature?" "If you insist," said the skeleton. "The creature is located on the top floor in the attic." "That was easy," said Thomas. "Let's get a move on," said Julie. "Before you go," said the skeleton, "I must warn you, the creature has been genetically enhanced." "What do you mean?" said Thomas. "The creature was once a human," said the skeleton. "I know of this, for I was once an assistant to the scientists to perform the experiments in the basement lab here in the house." Who was the creature?" asked Bart. "The creature was what's known as April Johnson," said the skeleton. "That was 15 years ago." "Let's get going," said Bart. That was where the 14s had gone to the attic. Thomas was the first to enter the attic. "Is anyone there?" said Thomas. "Indeed," said the voice. "That must be April," said Julie. "I'm over here," said the voice. "Near the corner." "We'll be there," said Thomas. "Wait, Thomas," said Julie. "Remember what the skeleton said about the enhancements." "Not to worry," said the voice. "After all this time I had maintained control over my powers. What do you want us to do?" asked Thomas. "Just unlock these chains," said April. "Of course," said Bart. Little did they know that the chains were trapped. "How does one unlock these chains?" said Thomas. "Just press the button," said April. "That will open the cuffs." That was where Thomas had pressed a button. All of a sudden the trap was set off. The trap had lured the ghouls. "What in Sock 7 is going on?" asked Thomas. "That it must have been a trap," said April. "Oh, a trap," said Julie. "I have a bad feeling the ghouls now know you're here," said April. "What do you mean?" asked Thomas. "It all happened 15 years ago," said April, "when I was human. I was working with a brilliant scientist. One of my comrades had attempted to finish a secret experiment when he mysteriously died." "What happened next?" asked Bart. "He was buried in the backyard," said April. How did you become who you are now?" asked Julie. "It was days after James's burial," said April, "when the others had come up with a superhuman potion. I was the first to try it." "What happened next?" asked Bart. "It turned me into a creature," said April, "with a bat's ears and wings, a cat's features, and a lizard's tail. It still left me with some portion of my human side." "What do you mean?" asked Gabrielle. "I still have a humanoid body," said April. Just then the ghouls had made it to the second floor. "It sounds like they're here," said Bart. "Let me handle them," said Bart. April, "James and I had a history." Just then the first few of the ghouls had burst into the attic. "Hand over humans," growled the lead ghoul. James? "No way, James," said April. Then April turns to the teens. "Humans," said April. "Get clear out of here." "If you insist," said Thomas. "Let's get out of here." That was where the teens had escaped, even though they had some close calls. All the while April had fought against the ghouls. The teens had managed to make it to the parlor. "About time you guys showed up," said the skeleton. "Let's board up the doors so the ghouls can't get in," said Thomas. That was where the teens had barricaded the doors. "When is this going to be over?" said Bart. "Soon enough," said the skeleton. 40 minutes later, the ghouls had escaped Trent's house. None of them had even fought the to check in the parlor. Just then, April had come down to the stairs to the parlor. Humans, said April. The danger is gone. If you say so, said Thomas. That was where Thomas had opened the door. Finally, said the Gabrielle, it's over. Just then the lead girl had entered the hallway. This isn't over between us, said James. So long, James, said April. The name is no longer James, said James. Call me Grey Gould the Undead. As soon as he said that, James, now called Grey Gould the Undead, had left the house graveyard. That was probably won't be the last time we see of him, said April. There's one thing we don't know, said Julie. How did James become a ghoul? It was due to the chemicals he ingested, said April. They had the unexpected effect of bringing him back from the dead. How did you get trapped in the attic? Asked Thomas. It was on the day that I mutated, said April. I wasn't in full control of my powers. That day, James had unexpectedly climbed out of his grave and killed everyone except for me. That they were turned into the undead. That was so sad, said Gabrielle. Anyway, said April, you four must keep this a secret. Of course, said Thomas. You have our word on it. Indeed, said Bart. From that day on, the five had been friends. The five also kept an eye out for Grey Gould the Undead and his undead comrades. The end of story 1. Part 2 of main story. Ultrax and Allison had made it a fair of the way to the island. Do you know of any other tales? Asked Allison. Of course, said Ultrax. The next tale is called Ivan's Encounter with His Past. Tales 2. Ivan's Encounter with His Past. The year is 1995. The location is the feudal land of Garsanias. Many years have passed since the fateful day when Ivan had found his biological father. It was also on that day when his father was killed by the Queen of the Witches. That event still remains in Ivan's mind. Soon, said Ivan, I will find you, mother. All the while, Ivan was traveling along the road. The road was located in the province of Wyvernia, just south of the main portion of the kingdom. Just then, a knight rides up and catches up to Ivan. The knight is a Cartorian. Ivan, said the knight. Finally, I have found you. What do you want? Asked Ivan. I just wanted to talk to you, said the knight. Why I want to talk to you? Asked Ivan. First of all, I know your mother, said the knight. Also, my people and your people have a long history of being allies. If you insist, said Ivan, let me tell you something. Something, said Araxua Steelblade. Your mother is located in the inn that your uncle had operated. Then I am on the right track, said Ivan. All this time, all those years I had spent searching for her. Finally, I shall find her. All the while, an assassin was watching the events. He had placed an arrow in the longbow. After he did that, he drew back the string and launched the arrow. The arrow flew for the air and hit the Cartorian knight right in the chest. That proved to be fatal. Comrade, said Ivan, don't die on me. Ivan, said Sir Araxua, do not worry. I know that you will complete your quest. At that moment, Sir Araxua had died. I shall avenge you, said Ivan. All the while, the assassin escaped out of the realm. Comrade, said Ivan, I shall make sure you will be buried with honor. Just then, Ivan had gone to find the local undertaker. Moments later, Ivan had found the undertaker. Comrade, said Ivan, I wish to ask for your services. Oh, said the undertaker, who is this person? An old friend of my mother, said Ivan. What is his name? Said the undertaker. Sir Araxua Steelblade, said Ivan. I will take care of the situation, said the undertaker. I will see you in 4 days, said Ivan. Just then, Ivan had gone off to the old inn that his uncle had operated. Soon enough, 4 days had passed. Ivan had just made it to the old inn. This is just great, said Ivan. Now I won't be able to get back in time for Araxua's burial. Ivan had stepped into the inn. Just then he had heard a voice. Finally, said the person, You have arrived. Who are you? Asked Ivan. I'm surprised you don't recognize me, said the person. I am your mother. So, said Ivan. After all this time, I have finally found you. Yes, said Rachel. You probably don't notice, but I am a witch. A witch, said Ivan. This can't be. At that moment, Ivan had charged at Rachel. He had pinned her against the wall and placed the blade of his sword against her throat. How dare you claim to be my mother, said Ivan. My mother was not a witch. Just listen to me, said Rachel. I shall convince you. Just then the two had heard sounds of horses and men. Oh, great, said Rachel. The king's best soldiers are here. They are here for me. Give me one good reason why I shouldn't let the soldiers get you, said Ivan. The only reason why your uncle took care of you, said Rachel, is that he feared that I would lose control of my powers. I still love you, said. At that moment, Ivan had realized something. You're right, said Ivan. I remembered when my father had told me that you still love me. Just then, the soldiers busted into the end. All right, witch hunter, said the lead soldier. Hand over the witch. Have you? Not likely, said Ivan. Have it your way, said the lead soldier. Get him, boys. At that moment, the other soldiers attacked Ivan. Ivan had fought bravely, but was overwhelmed. Begone, soldiers, said Rachel. Rachel had used one of her spells to turn the soldiers into lizards. The only soldier remaining was the leader. That was where Ivan had gone over to the leader. All right, listen up, punk, said Ivan. You go and tell the king not to mess around with witches. Yeah, sure, said the leader. That was where the leader quickly dashed out the door. He was obviously afraid of you, said Ivan. You fought bravely, my son, said Rachel. From this day forward, said Ivan, I am no longer a witch hunter. From that day forward, Ivan and his mother, Rachel Rosenberg Cervantes, had teamed up. They had gone on adventures. Rachel had eventually opened up a store of magic objects. Ivan later found his long-lost cousin, who had been missing in action for several years. Ivan's cousin is the mercenary. Ivan also had to deal with occasional encounters with the king's soldiers. The end of Tale 2. Part 3 of main story. All the while, Alterax and Allison had made it 2/3 of the way to the island of the Elder Arch Mage. Well, said Alterax, how do you like the story so far? Well, said Allison, they were good, although when you told the tale about Ivan Cervantes, you didn't mention the king's name. Oh yes, said Alterax, the king's name is David Arthurson. Just then, the island had come into view. Well, said Alterax, it looks like I have time for one last tale. What tale will that be? Asked Allison. This tale is about 3 friends and a wish-granting crystal, said Alterax. What is the title? Asked Allison. The title of the tale, said Alterax, is The Crystal of Wishes, in the part 3. The tale 3, The Crystal of Wishes. One day in Orloniox, 3 friends had just come from the local arcade. It was in the late afternoon, in the summer of 1996. Each of the friends is from a different group of people. One is a Doraxian, one is an ogre, and one is a bunny girl. On the way to the apartment where they lived, they encountered a caravan which was under attack by a group of marauding orcs. Could someone help us? Said the lead driver. I'll handle this, said Chalmius the ogre. That was where Chalmius had stepped forward to help the caravan. That was where the orcs had turned their attention to Chalmius. Oh dear, said Borzonus the Doraxian. Don't worry, said Saltar the bunny girl. Well, I have a feeling he'll win. All the while, Chalmius was fighting off the orcs. It was an uneven match. It was quickly going in favor for Chalmius. Many minutes later, Chalmius had won the fight. Thank you, said the leader driver. You're welcome, said Chalmius. Have this as a token of gratitude, said the caravan driver. That's where she gave him a crystal. That wouldn't be necessary, said Chalmius. I insist, said the member. If you say so, said Chalmius. That was where Chalmius had taken the crystal. Be careful, said the member. The crystal comes with great power. What kind of power? Said Chalmius. The power to grant wishes, said the member. Why are the orcs after you? Asked Chalmius. They were after that very stone, said the member. Now we must be going. The orcs will be on our tail very soon. Of course, said Chalmius. Until next time. We will see you later, said the member. That was where the caravan had gone on their way. The 3 friends had gone on their way. The 3 friends had also gone to the regular meeting place behind the apartment. "What's the crystal?" asked Borsanus. "It grants wishes," said Chalmius. "In that case," said Saltar, "I'll be the first." "Oh, brother," said Borsanus, "not to wish about the singer Alan Jackson." I wish for a copy of all the albums Alan Jackson ever made," said Saltar. As soon as she said that, it came true. Now it came down to me, Borsanus and Chalmius. "I'll go next," said Borsanus. "I shall go next," said Chalmius. "After all, it was I whom had fought off the orcs." "No, I shall go next," said Borsanus. Soon enough, a fight had started between the two. Saltar had attempted to stop the two from fighting. "You guys knock it off," said Saltar. "If you insist," said Borsanus. That was where Chalmius had used his wish. The wish was to go to the Spartan arena in Magio town, Sklaktar. Next was Borsanus. His wish was to become a great actor. A couple of weeks later, the trio met the caravan. "So," said the lead driver, "it seems that you have used the crystal." "You know of this?" said Chalmius. "Indeed," said the caravan member. "It seems you haven't quite got the idea what I meant." "It's about great power," said Chalmius. "Indeed," said the member. "You must learn to harness the power." "Could you teach us?" asked Borsanus. "Yeah," said Saltar. "If you ask," said the member, "I shall teach you." After that, the trio joined the caravan. They had also learned about how to harness the energies in the tail free. Part 4. The Arrival. Just as Alterax was finishing up the story, he and Alison had made it to the island of the Elder Arch Mage. The two were greeted by Adam and the Elder Arch Mage. "Finally," said Alterax, "we have arrived." That was where the boat landed. Alison had left the boat and greeted her husband. "Hi, dear," said Alison. "How was your time here?" "Excellent," said Adam. The Elder Archmage had bought 5 months' worth of scrolls, 20 crystals, and 6 years' worth of supplies. "That was good," said Alison. "Alterax, what do we owe you?" "Not to worry," said Alterax. "Alterax," said Alison, "you never told me how you know of all these tales." "Indeed, I haven't," said Alterax. Allow me to show you." That was where Alterax pulled back his hood, revealing a skeletal head. "My God," said Alison, "you're a skeleton." "Indeed," said Alterax. "We should really get going," said Adam. "It's going to be dark soon." "Why don't you stay over for the night?" said the Schmage. "If you insist," said Alison. That was where Adam, Alison, and Alterax had stayed over at the Elder Archmage's place. The end.